I'm a 39-year-old guy with what you'd probably call a typical American life. 2 kids, a 10-year-old daughter who thinks she's a teenager already, and a 7-year-old son who still believes I can fix anything with duct tape. I've worked in logistics for over a decade. Steady job, decent pay. My wife, Lauren, is 37, works in project management at a mid-sized tech firm. We've been married 12 years, no fireworks every day, but a good, solid marriage, at least. I thought so, sure. We had our share of arguments, who doesn't? Dishes, screen time for the kids, whose turn it is to do the morning drop-off, but we always made up. We had a rhythm. I thought we were good. Then, one night after the kids were asleep, Lauren sat me down in the living room. Her face was too calm. She said she wanted to try living apart for a while, to grow individually and work on ourselves, said it like she'd rehearsed it. I just stared at her. I asked, "What are you talking about?" "We're not broken." She said it wasn't about us being broken. It was about being modern, evolving. She'd read something online, heard it from friends. I asked which friends. She hesitated. That's when a strange chill hit me. I didn't say much after that. Just nodded slowly while my brain started doing loops. She kissed me on the cheek like I was a cousin, and something in me knew. This wasn't about growth. This was the beginning of something else. I didn't fight her that night. That part surprises most people when I tell them, but I've learned that silence makes people nervous and reveals more than shouting ever could. The next morning, I made coffee like usual, got the kids ready, kissed their foreheads, and sat down across from Lauren with a notepad. "If we're doing this separation thing," I said, "we need to figure out legal custody, household finances, and who's living where." She blinked, caught off guard. I could tell this wasn't the response she'd rehearsed. I added, calmly, "If we're separating, the kids' routine matters, so maybe week on, week off? Or do you want to go for full joint custody?" She laughed nervously. "I thought we could keep it informal." "I don't think that's wise," I said, sipping my coffee. "Not when the kids are involved. Not if we're serious about growing." She nodded. But her posture changed, less confident, more cautious, later that week. I checked her search history on our shared tablet. She'd been looking at one-bedroom apartments in the exact part of town where her boss, Travis, lives, not downtown, not convenient to work, but close to his gated complex. That's when the real suspicion started, and I stopped being passive. I began to take notes, dates, comments, calendar events. I created a folder, digital and physical. I didn't want revenge. I wanted clarity and proof. A week after our space to grow conversation, I noticed she'd started turning her phone face down. Then she added a new lock screen passcode, something she hadn't changed in years. One night while she showered, I used her iPad, synced to her messages. I didn't even have to dig. There it was, text with Travis, "Miss our talks, can't wait to have my own place close by." A spreadsheet labeled 2024 plan, listing job projections, moving dates, even school transfer options for the kids. She wasn't figuring herself out. She was building a life, without me. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal, it was realizing how methodically she'd gone about it. While I was folding laundry, cooking dinners, reading bedtime stories, she was plotting an exit strategy with a man who called our family Phase 1 cleanup. I wanted to scream, punch a wall, but I didn't. Instead, I called her sister, "Amanda, just checking in," I said. "Is Lauren okay?" "She seems preoccupied." Amanda hesitated. "She told me you two were doing a trial separation, and she might start fresh with someone new." "But she said you agreed to it." I didn't react. "Yeah, that's one version," I replied. That night, I told Lauren I had a surprise plan for Saturday, something for us to reconnect. Just us. "Don't ask. Let me drive." She smiled, confused, maybe even nervous. That was the moment I knew I wasn't chasing the truth anymore. I was leading her straight into it. Saturday came. I told her to pack light. Nothing fancy, warm weather. She still thought this was some sort of healing weekend. Maybe a beach, maybe a couple's retreat. I kept it vague. I booked flights to Florida, but not for the reason she hoped. At the airport, I handed her her boarding pass. She looked down. "One way to Fort Lauderdale?" I smiled. "You mentioned Travis lives there, right?" "Sorry, Jim, as he calls himself on LinkedIn." She went pale. "James, what is this?" "A surprise. You wanted freedom. Now you've got a non-refundable seat to it." She blinked fast, lips parting like she couldn't decide whether to cry or yell. "This isn't funny." I didn't flinch. "Your name on a rental application 2 blocks from his apartment isn't funny either, nor is listing him as your emergency contact." or changing your marital status on HR paperwork 2 weeks ago. She opened her mouth, then closed it. By the way, I added, I saw your 2024 life goals doc. I'm flattered. I made it into the co-parenting phase, very organized. That's when the tears came. It wasn't what you think. He's just a friend who helped me sort things out. We were just talking. I raised an eyebrow. You listed him as someone to pick up our kids from school. Silence. Then came the rage, the accusations. You went through my stuff? You violated my privacy. No, I said calmly. I protected my family. She was trembling now, not from guilt, from losing control of the narrative. Take the flight, I said, turning away, or don't. But the story you've been writing without me? It ends here. It was Lauren's parents' house, Sunday afternoon, the kind where you'd expect iced tea and forced smiles. But I'd asked for a family talk, said it was important. She didn't know I'd invited someone else too. When we walked in, her parents looked surprised to see the man in the gray suit behind me. This is Michael Harris, I said calmly, family law attorney. Lauren stiffened. James, what are you doing? I'm clarifying things. Before stories get rewritten. We all sat in the living room. Her dad was uneasy. Her mom looked concerned. Lauren hovered, arms crossed, trying to regain control. I pulled out the folder. Here are copies of text messages between Lauren and her supervisor, Travis, aka Jim. These were synced from our shared cloud account. Here's a rental application submitted last month for an apartment near his building, with her name only, and this. I slid over a printed HR status form. List her as single, with Travis as emergency contact. Her mother gasped. Her father frowned deeply. Lauren turned red. You're ambushing me? No. I'm documenting, I said. Michael, my attorney, cleared his throat. Based on these documents and Mrs. Carter's recent decisions, we are filing for divorce citing emotional abandonment and breach of trust. Mr. Carter is seeking full physical custody, joint legal custody, and retention of the family home. We also request that contact with the children be supervised during the transition. Lauren stood, hand shaking. This isn't fair. You can't just take them from me. Her mother whispered, Lauren, is this all true? She didn't answer. I'm not trying to hurt anyone, I said, but I won't let deception decide my children's future. For once, nobody argued, not even her. The fallout came fast. Travis, Jim, was quietly let go 2 weeks later. HR restructured his department after an anonymous tip linked him to multiple unethical relationships at work. Lauren's name surfaced in the investigation. She was given the option to resign. She took it. Her apartment plans fell through. The lease required a job letter. Her fresh start ended before it began. Meanwhile, the court awarded me primary custody. The judge noted my stability, detailed records, and the timeline of Lauren's deception. She got weekends. Supervised at first, she tried to spin it all back. Emails, handwritten letters. I was lost. It wasn't what it looked like. I missed the kids. One ended with, you still know my favorite coffee, right? I didn't answer. Instead, I focused on rebuilding, not alone, but steady. The house was quieter. Yes, but it was also calmer, safer. No more second-guessing if the truth was being whispered in another room. I'd been burned, but I wasn't broken. Time passed. The girls adapted better than I imagined. What helped most? Amanda, Lauren's sister, she started visiting more often, just to help. School pickups turned into dinners, then weekends, then something steadier. There was no rush, just warmth, patience, realness. One night, my daughter whispered, Dad, I like it when Aunt Mandy stays over. The house feels happy. I just smiled. Months later, we weren't just healing. We were growing, a different family. Maybe, but a stronger one. Then one evening, my phone lit up. A message from Lauren. Just, I'm sorry. I wish I'd chosen differently. I didn't reply, because I had, and sometimes, when you stop chasing broken things, you realize the most valuable parts of life never needed fixing, just protecting. Sometimes, the trash takes itself out.